Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. And today I have the second card that we made at this weekend's card class, where we played with the black ice technique, which is the technique that's on this piece of foil. And if you can see it, I don't know if this is going to pick up in the camera, but if you can see it, it's just beautiful. It's got a nice texture to it, and it does really look like what black ice looks like on the road on a really, really cold, freezing cold New England weather day. And other parts of the country, I'm sure, where they have really bad winters, really cold winters, I should say, you do get black ice on the tar. So that is what we are mimicking here with this. So on Monday, I showed you one of the other cards that we made at class, which was this one, using the beautiful day stamp set, the flower from the stamp set. And we use this pretty sweet sugar plum as a background. But today I'm going to go a little more rustic, and I'm going to use browns because I'm using copper foil. This one here was made using gold foil, and this one here has copper foil. And on Friday, I'll show you a nice one that has silver foil. So what we need for supplies, the stamp set we're using is the Country Livin stamp set, and I'm going to use the boots right here. And for cardstock, I have a piece of soft suede, which is cut at 5.5 by 6 3/8, and it's scored so that this is 2 1/8 and this is 4 1/4. So it's whatever easiest for you. If you like doing quarters, you can score it at 4 1/4 and then just turn it around. Otherwise, you can just score it at 2 1/8. Basically, this is half of these two there. Then I have a piece of Very Vanilla, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's just going to go on the inside. Then I have a piece of Crumb Cake, which is 5 1/4 by 1 3/4. Then I have some squares. I have soft suede cut at 3 by 3, a piece of Crumb Cake, which is cut at 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and a piece of copper foil, which is cut at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And the first thing we're going to work on is our copper piece. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper underneath it. And you want to hold this, you want this to be secure. You don't want to get your oils from your fingers on it. So you can put a piece of repositionable tape on it, on your scrap paper, and press it down. Or you can just use your fingers to hold it down. Then to make the black stripes, we're going to use black archival ink. And working with just the tip of the stamp pad, we're going to very lightly just bring this down. And you do want to have that black border up on the top. That adds to the design. Then we're going to come back and we're going to do it on the other side as well. Again, very lightly. Okay? And I'm going to turn this around, and we're going to do it again because we want that border up on that side as well. So very lightly. And again, very lightly. And when I say very lightly, I really, really mean very lightly. And now we're going to bring in the heat tool, and we're going to heat that up. Just want to make sure that it's nice and dry. Then the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to take the boots, I'm going to ink them up in archival black, and I'm going to just stamp that right in the center here. Now you are stamping on foil, so keep in mind you don't want to, there's a tendency that it might slip. So you want to just be sure you go straight down and straight up so that it doesn't slide. If it slides, your image will be a little blurry. So now we need to make sure that the most important part is that at this point, that ink is dry. So I'm going to come in with my heat tool again and make sure my boots are nice and dry. Now I'm going to come in with my Versamark pad, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the black. But I want to caution you, if you come down too hard and too heavy with the Versamark, when you go emboss this, you won't have the nice texture to it. You'll have a flat finish like a piece of foil. So you want to make sure you very lightly move this piece over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold on to this nice and tight, and I'm just going to lightly drag the Versamark over it. All right, now we're going to watch the magic happen. We're going to come in with our Versamark, with our embossing powder, clear embossing powder. And I'm going to just use my spatula here. You're going to try not to touch the edges. Okay. And now I'm going to heat that up. And when we emboss, usually we get a nice shiny raised finish. This way here, because we laid down the black and the Versamark so lightly, the embossing is going to have a nice texture to it. It's going to have, the best way to describe it is what black ice looks like on the tar. It's got little ridges to it. I'm going to raise this up close to the camera as I can, so hopefully you can see the texture on it. So here it is. So if you can see that texture right there. Now okay, and now we're going to put the rest of our card together. I'm going to bring these pieces back in. I'm going to attach my my Very Vanilla, to the inside of my card, just centering that right up. Now I'm going to take this little strip of crumb cake, and I'm going to run it through the embossing folder, this like a plank embossing folder. This is a dynamic embossing folder, so your sandwich is different. You have your folder with your paper, one acrylic plate, and then it goes through the big shot. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back with my embossed piece. Now you can see the texture there, but it looks kind of plain. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in some soft suede ink, and with a quartered sponge, I'm just going to run that over the embossed piece, and that just makes the wood grain stand out a little nicer. And then I'm just going to run it along the edges. Just to give it a little bit of dimension and depth. Okay, now I'm going to take a little piece of, I have hemp. You can use linen thread, you can use whatever you have. I'm just going to run that around this down here a couple times. And then I'm going to tie a knot. And then with some snail, I'm going to attach this to my card. And when I do that, I want to line it up with the Whisper White, the top and the bottom, because I want that to be a straight edge. Now I'm going to mount my boots. First I'm going to mount the boots onto the crumb cake, and then I'm going to mount both of them onto the soft suede. And all the dimensions for these papers will be on my blog. Oh, a little crooked there. And now I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive just on one side. Center that up and press that down. And then I can put my sentiment right here. If I'm going to make it a birthday card or just for you, a thank you, or whatever card, whatever occasion you find yourself in need of. And so this is, you can see that it's just absolutely stunning. See it on both of these. Well, there's our second card using the black ice technique. I hope you'll come back on Friday and I'll show you one more card. Thanks so much. Have a great day.